Hello, welcome to Zentangle Explore. I am so excited that you have come to join me and draw with me really slowly. So this is a class where we draw one Zentangle pattern really slowly. I'm Esther Piszczek, a certified Zentangle teacher, and what you will need is just a couple pieces of watercolor paper or cardstock or just paper that you can hold in the palm of your hand and a pen. I have a 01 Micron here and I have a Sharpie pen here. Sometimes it's fun to have other pens. And if you just have this is like a purple desk pen, pilot pen. If you just have a desk pen, and even if it's a color, that is perfect. So whatever you have to draw is absolutely perfect. And I'm just glad that you showed up. So I like to start off every drawing experience with some breathing and just a little settling into our space so we can calm down and be present to draw slow lines. So just get nice and comfortable in your seat, and you can close your eyes if you like. I'm going to close mine. And just find your breath. Say, hello, breath. Welcome to this day or this evening, wherever you are in the world, either live here with me or on the recording. I know that your breath is with you. Just settle in. Allow anything in your body that's calling your attention, any tension, to just relax. Send a little breath to any area that's maybe has something to say to you in this moment. Find the inhale. And just notice. No need to change your breath in any way. There's so many things that we can notice about the breath. The depth of the breath, the length of the inhale, the experience of the exhale. The little micro rest or stop between the inhale or the exhale and the exhale. It happens both at the top and at the bottom. Beautiful opportunity to just rest, to allow the breath to turn around. Continue its cycle, bringing in oxygen, carrying out carbon dioxide, nourishing our blood and our organs, and our brains, and everything we create nourishes the trees and the plants and the flowers. It's a lovely give and take, or receive and give cycle of life. Allowing your breath to be exactly as it is. Just notice where you can feel it in your body. Perhaps a coolness at the edge of your nostrils. Perhaps an expansion of your lungs, your chest, or even your back body. Perhaps you can feel it in your belly. Maybe there's some warmth on your skin from your breath. Or maybe you can feel your skin moving with the breath and the clothing, whatever's touching your skin, the sensation of texture, of movement, of intake and release. Whatever you're experiencing is absolutely perfect. Just notice and allow it to be as it is. Perhaps feeling your seat, wherever you're seated, or if you're lying down or standing, a connection between you and the surface that you are touching. Just allow that connection to grow, that gentle tug of gravity to be an opportunity to be held, to release any holding in your body that's unnecessary, any holding of your breath, if that's happening for you. Allowing everything that came before to be over and everything that's coming to be waiting. Always settle in and breathe, preparing to draw simple lines and explore. So when you're ready, let's take a big inhale together. A nice sighing exhale, making noise if you wish. Ah, giving yourself permission to hear the sound of your voice just because you can make that sound. Another big inhale together. And a nice sighing, releasing exhale. Oh. Allowing that vibration to soothe your nervous system, massage your organs, a little release to your emotions. And one last big inhale. And a nice releasing exhale. Ah. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Know that whatever we create together will be perfect, just as it is. Okay, thank you so much. I love breathing and settling and just relaxing before drawing. Helps me to draw slow, calm lines, which is always helpful. All right, so I'm going to change my camera and we are going to draw. Okay, so I have a couple pieces of different size pieces of paper here. This is watercolor paper in case I want to add watercolor later when I'm done drawing. But any paper you have will be great. And then I have a couple of pens. I have a 01 Micron, which is a little bit of a fancy pen, and a Sharpie felt tip, which is a little less fancy, but also fun to draw with. Okay, so let's draw this lovely pattern. It's called Farrow, F-A-R-R-O-W, and it's by certified Zentangle teacher Angie Gittles. And I really love her tangles. You can find tangles to draw on tanglepatterns.com, which is where I found this one. And we're just going to explore this pattern. So I'm going to start just in the middle of my page here with a nice slow line, allowing that line to be so slow, so slow. Let's start out our practice really slowly so we can experience what that feels like. And this is just going to be a little bit of a curved stem. Mine's got a wiggle in it. It's got a little bend in it. I'm going to allow that to be exactly as it is. And on the end of this, we're going to do a line. And then we're going to come up and then down in a V and create this little triangle. Now, we could just stop here, or the pattern actually has a little line here. So we have this little, it's like the bottom of a candy corn, the white part of a candy corn. And then this top part can be decorated. I've got a very shaky hand today, and it's actually perfect for making shaky lines, which are delightful because they're difficult to make if you're not shaking. And they're kind of lovely to embrace if you are. So that gets colored in black, and then we can embellish this however we want. And so maybe a fun little way to embellish this would be to add some dots. So this is our pattern. And this class is all about exploring. And so we look at the components of this pattern and say, okay, well, what is it that we are exploring? So we have a stem. Ask yourself, does it have to be a single line? Maybe it could be a double stem. Maybe it could be a triple stem. We have this shape on the end, which is a triangle. Maybe it could be a circle. Maybe it could be a square or a rectangle. And then we have this little space here with fill. Maybe this bottom part is filled and the top part is white. Maybe this bottom part isn't filled in black, but filled in with hatch marks or little orbs or circles or spirals. Maybe there's something that comes off the end of this. Maybe these dots go down the side. Maybe they come off the end. Maybe they come up along the stem. So however you want to explore this is completely up to you. And you can draw these. We're just going to draw and explore on this page. And I'm just going to draw. So we can draw bigger, we can draw fatter, we can draw wider, we can draw thinner. Maybe your stem doesn't curve. Maybe it wiggles. So we can explore what happens when we change all the things at once, or even just change one thing at a time and see what happens. And it's not about my exploration, it's about your exploration. I often get comments because in drawing, it's kind of hard to draw without having your hand in the way, especially when you're teaching at the same time and not watching the camera. And so people will comment on my YouTube channel where I have these recorded classes and they say, well, I can't see what you're drawing. And part of me wants to say, what I'm drawing isn't the point. It's what you're drawing that's important. And so once I give you the initial pattern, then exploring it in your own way is completely up to you. And you have creative freedom to do that. And while what I'm drawing is interesting, perhaps because it's not something that you would think of, just like what you're drawing is not something I would think of, and inspirational, it should really only be about how it's inspiring you, as opposed to copying every single line that I draw. And so I give you permission to explore wildly, such that even when you're done with this class, perhaps you don't even recognize that what you were drawing was inspired by this pattern, because it has changed so dramatically. So you can weave these, you can have these come off the page, you can have them overlap completely. The question is, what are your questions? When you draw this, you say, well, what if I did this? What if I did that? What if I start with the triangle and then add the stem? There's so many ways to explore this. And what I love about this process of exploring is you can take something that's so super simple, something that's so easy to draw, and explore it in so many ways. And I can have these interact by just, I call drawing behind. It's a Zentangle drawing concept, and just a drawing concept in general, not specific to Zentangle, where when you get to another object, you stop and then you watch the line go behind, but you don't draw it, and then you pick it up on the other side. It's always so important. It's a very difficult, I think, a challenging thing to do. To just allow your lines to be exactly as they are. To say that whatever is showing up really is perfect. And it's perfect because this line that you're drawing right now, you will never draw again. Yes, you'll draw another line. You'll draw lots of other lines. You're going to draw lines just by signing your name, just by writing a note or a grocery list. But none of those lines are identical. Every single one is new. It's brand new. And that is really magical when we notice and appreciate and give value and meaning to what's showing up on the page. Instead of judging and criticizing and discarding. It's so much more pleasing to allow and to say, wow, well, that's interesting. I didn't know that that was even possible. I don't know where that came from. I'm really interested in what's happening here, even if I don't like it. Because every mark you're making is coming from you, it's coming from what you're experiencing in this moment, what you're experiencing in your life, what you're experiencing today or tonight or whenever you're watching this. It's all a big combination because we are whole and complete and exactly as we are. Always. And what we draw reflects what's happening inside of us. And I had a very shaky morning. And so my lines are very shaky today. And that is very cool. I can't force my hand to be what it isn't. And I don't want to. I don't like it when anyone tries to force me to be anything that I'm not. And so my hand would not appreciate that either. So I'm going to add a little rounding to this stem here in this connection point. You can turn your tile at any time. It's what I love about Zentangle. There's a lot of things I love about Zentangle method of pattern drawing, but one is that there's no up or down or right side or upside down or proper way to do things. So we draw from the entire tile, which is really lovely. And the other thing is the no mistakes. So there's no mistakes, which means that whatever we're drawing is exactly what's meant to be drawn, even if it's not what we want to be drawing or what we think we should be drawing. I love how in Zentangle we're using really basic shapes. It makes it very easy to play with them. You were talking before I started recording about connection and the importance of personal connection. And I had my own experience of that yesterday as I was out and about. I ended up with the gas light on my car saying, "Hello, I'm thirsty. You better do something." And it wasn't at the normal, so-called normal gas station that I like to go to. And I wasn't going to make it there either, based on how much gas was in the tank. So I stopped at a new gas station. And I noticed a woman who was pumping gas next to me, and she was wearing this really beautiful pink sweatshirt. And I noticed that she just looked so pretty in that color. And part of me hesitated because part of me said, well, maybe I shouldn't be that person that's talking to strangers. That's, like those, I don't know if you're in the United States with those commercials, if you've seen the commercial about, turning into your parents, how they're commenting randomly to people in the grocery store or whatever. And that kind of popped into my head and said, well, maybe I shouldn't engage with her. But it was just a fleeting thought. And I decided that she looked so beautiful, I had to tell her. So I said, wow, you look really pretty. That's a really great, pink looks really good on you. And then I continued to pump gas. And a couple minutes later, as she was ready to leave, she said, "Thank you for the compliment. This sweatshirt is from an organization that supports my daughter who has spinal cancer. And I really needed to hear that compliment today." And she had tears in her eyes. She got back into her car and she left. And I was thinking about, after that, the connection, but really how miraculous that connection was. Because I was at a gas station that I'm not usually at a time when I'm not usually at a gas station, out and about, and connecting with a woman that I wouldn't have seen any, and for like any other reason anywhere else, but the fact that we were both there at the exact same time. And she was wearing that pink sweatshirt. And I not only noticed that she looked really nice, but then I disregarded that voice in my head that said, don't engage. And I chose to engage, and that was a meaningful interaction both for her and for me. And had I just continued doing what I was doing and kept that thought to myself, she wouldn't have had the opportunity to feel that connection, to feel supported in what she's experiencing with her daughter, to feel seen, to feel noticed, to feel heard. And I think those connections, no matter how brief, are so incredibly powerful. It is what makes us, it's one of the beautiful things about being human. Those spontaneous interactions. It's something that artificial intelligence can't give to us in the same way that we can give it to each other. And before COVID, I had noticed a couple months before that the world was just going so fast, spinning so quickly. Everything was happening so quickly. Everyone was so distracted in whatever they were doing. And I wondered to myself in the months before COVID, really probably through January, through the March period, I was thinking about this. Like, how can this, it feels like everything is spinning out of control. How can this continue this way? It doesn't seem sustainable. And then COVID hit and the world essentially stopped. And I thought that after the experience of slowing down and people reevaluating their priorities and coming more into alignment with what they really and truly how they want to live and how they want to spend their time, and the importance of human connection, that things would be slower and more peaceful after we came out of COVID. And my experience has been that things are now going even faster than they were before. And so those moments of personal connection with family members, maybe long lost relatives, maybe friends you haven't talked to in a long time, maybe your spouse or your kids, saying, I see you, I notice you, what you're doing or what you're wearing or how you're speaking or an idea that you have is having an impact on me, and I appreciate you, and I'm grateful for you. And you don't have to say all of those things, but your interaction and your noticing of what's happening with them will transfer that heart-based connection to them, because that is the human gift, the connection through the heart. And another interaction that had happened earlier, I was dropping off artwork at a shop. A shopkeeper who I've known for a couple of months and I've talked to here and there and around. So we're not unknown to each other like the woman at the gas station was unknown to me. We were in conversation and she was telling me how she was gone to a funeral the day before. She had a funeral to go to today. She lost 3 people, 2 that were close to her, in 2 weeks. And then she started to cry. And I offered her a hug, and she accepted. And she said to me, I feel weird. I feel it's weird for me to feel vulnerable and to accept comfort from somebody else. I'm the one that comforts other people. I'm the one that listens to them. I'm the one that does those things. So it seemed like it wasn't feeling natural to her to actually receive. But we can't just give all the time. There isn't enough. That's not how the world works. It's not how our bodies work. We need to give away our carbon dioxide to make room to receive the oxygen that we breathe. It's always giving and receiving, and I think we often think that we have to give before we can receive. My experience is that we are able to give what we have received. And so we're always giving away only what we already have. So this pattern is so simple. It's just a single line drawn really, really slowly with breath and attention. A little curving stem, a straight line, and then a V, forming this triangle. A little bifurcating line, and then any kind of fill that you want to put on top. And we're exploring this pattern. So however you want it to look is up to you. Triangles can become circles, and I've already experimented with squares, and I have a little pointer finger here, which is kind of funny. But just allowing your line to be exactly as it is. And whatever what if question is coming to you, whatever pops into your mind, even if you think, oh, well, that's totally crazy. Why would I do that? That often happens to me where I argue with my inspiration. I say, well, that's not going to work. And then it just keeps coming back and coming back. And I say, all right, fine, I'll try it. It's always funny when that happens. And then I try it and I'm absolutely surprised and delighted. And sometimes it doesn't work quite the way I think that it ought to, or that it's not like workable, but it always brings me to a new way to draw, like a new idea. And so every single bit of inspiration, even if it doesn't turn out the way I want to, if I just discard it and say, well, that didn't work, and then be mad about it, throw away my piece, decide not to draw again, I'm missing an opportunity of learning what that bit of inspiration is bringing me, what gift it's bringing me. And so I encourage you to not be so quick to discard your creations, to judge them harshly, to truly learn from them and say, what is it? What gift are you here to share with me? What is it? What is it? What sparked this inspiration to try this new thing? And see where it leads you. And that's why I love teaching this class and encouraging people to explore, because I think that as humans, we're always saying, being told what to do, since we're conditioned as students to say, all right, well, if the teacher tells me to do this and I have to do this, and the assignment is this, so I have to do it, and I have to do it that way. And so we can be conditioned over time to not follow our inspiration. And our inspiration is just the very, very best. All right, I just realized that I have things coming and going, and I want to do more off the page here. Just allow those lines to be exactly as they are. Maybe they wiggle. Maybe your pen has a mind of its own today, and it's just drawing whatever it wants, no matter what your desire is, it turns out differently. That is a reason to celebrate and to say, wowza, I don't know what's happening here, but it's super interesting. And you can start a new piece whenever you'd like. I think I'm gonna try my Sharpie felt tip. Just slowing down. And breathing. That's really all we're doing. We're giving ourselves an opportunity to slow down. Oh, and breathe. Allowing what shows up to show up. Embracing it as opportunity to create something new and unexpected. Adding creative black wherever you'd like to. Perhaps you're adding some weighting to your lines, some rounding to this connection. Maybe your creative black is actually purple or blue or pink or yellow. So another thing I love about this class is often students will either draw with color in class. So our class mosaic at the end is just super fun. Sometimes they'll shade their patterns after class. Sometimes they'll add color or watercolor. So the class mosaic gets super varied and fun. And it's always so fun to look at what everyone else has created and come up with. say, oh my gosh, well, now I can try that. That's super cool. I'm so glad that person thought about that and then shared it with me so that I can play with the idea. I always find it curious when people will say, well, I'm not creative. I think we have this built up definition of what creativity is. That creativity is drawing portraits or taking a perfect picture or being able to knit or crochet something. And creativity is exactly who we are. If you think of a new idea for a sandwich and you try it out, you are being creative. If you wear a different pants and shirt combination because you want to try it out, if you buy a new pair of like jazzy socks and you don't usually do that, you are being creative. You find a solution to some household issue, solving a problem that needed to be solved, didn't otherwise have a solution. You are being creative. And I think when we give ourselves credit for the creativity that we're already expressing, then that breeds more creativity. So it's so important to give ourselves credit for what we're already doing. You are already being creative. And if you're drawing in this class, no matter what you're drawing, you are being creative and you are exercising that muscle of creativity and exploration that will only fuel future exploration and future creativity. And so this is a practice. And while this is a drawing practice, I say this is a life practice. We can feel uncomfortable on the page, drawing something that we didn't expect. And we can figure it out, we can troubleshoot it, and find a solution using our pen or color or imagination. And then when we feel uncomfortable or similarly stuck in our lives, we can say, oh, well, I'm a creative person. I'm naturally creative. I naturally can find solutions just like I do on the page. And so while this is a drawing practice, this is really a life practice. And I am so grateful that all of you came to practice with me. It's very fun to create always. It's so much more fun and delightful to create in community. Whether you're here live with me, drawing right now on this day that I'm drawing, or whether you're here at some future point in time drawing on with a recording, it's as if you're drawing with me right now. So thank you. Thank you for your presence, for your attention to your own creativity, for exploring. In whatever way you're exploring. I learned this method of slow drawing from Amy Miracle at Mindful Art Studio, and it changed my relationship to my pen, to my lines, to my whole way of drawing. And it's been so lovely and delightful. And she still teaches slow drawing workshops on Wednesdays, so you could find her at mindfulartstudio.com and sign up and explore what she does. She does nature patterns. She creates, and then sometimes she does watercolor, simple painting exercises, and then sometimes things that are more structural, flower patterns. But I found the practice of slowing down to be so very helpful, not only to my drawing practice, but to my life practice. It's always this go, 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 accomplish, 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 do the next task, get the thing done, do the next thing. And it's bringing attention to your breath, to this moment, to appreciating and noticing what you're creating. It's very helpful and soothing and relaxing. Slowing down, relaxing the grip on that pen if you're holding it tightly, and breathing. Watching the ink come onto the page. That's all that's happening here. And allowing. And allowing what shows up to be just what it is. Drawing really slowly. It's so fantastic to explore with a simple pattern because you really could just draw this pattern for a week straight and never run out of ideas for modifying it. There's just so many ways to make a triangle, not a proper, like 90-degree angle triangle, but just the shape of a triangle. And there's all those other shapes. So many other shapes that you can use instead of a triangle because this is an exploration, which is super fun. Okay, so these are my creations. Oops, there we go. Those are my creations. I hope that you have your own unique creations. Thank you so much for drawing with me. It's so nice that you came to spend time with me, breathing and drawing. You can find more of my work at eternalpossibility.com. And this is a free, but also donations are accepted. So you can send donations if you would like to support me in holding these classes at paypal.me/eternalpossibility. And I hope that you enjoyed this, and you can also find more of my videos on YouTube. So happy drawing, everybody.